Communist China has just demanded the world to recognize and fund the Taliban following the conclusion of a regional government meeting where top diplomats from countries including Pakistan, Iran, Russia, and the Taliban attended. Are we starting to see the emergence of two different alliances in the world order, one that is led by the US and the other by the CCP?
100%. There's just no doubt. And you see the attack on the dollar as the prime reserve currency. You're seeing across the board. This is the greatest threat to world security, and most importantly, it's the greatest threat to the Chinese people. China internally is very unstable right now because of the terrible economic policies and obviously social media and the clampdown, the authoritarian policies of the Chinese Communist Party against the Chinese people, Lao Beijing. This is the worst thing that happened to Lao Beijing, because the Chinese Communist Party will be able to make the argument, our gangster style is we can transfer that, and we can partner with gangsters in Iran, gangsters in Pakistan, gangsters in Turkey, gangsters in North Korea, and principally gangsters, the KGB gangsters in Russia. And that we can actually control, since we've laid the groundwork with One Belt, One Road, we now can solidify that politically and militarily. And let's throw the Gulf Emirates in there, UAE, and particularly Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So there's a book written about the 1930s called The Dark Valley. And it goes through all the effort, the financial collapse after the stock market collapse in 1929, from what happened, after World War I, you had the run up, and then you had the massive hyperinflation, and everything, all the societal problems that came up because of that, and that led to a war that started in China, and I think in 1935 in Spain and in China, and that became eventually a global conflict that killed hundreds of millions of people. It's the dark ages of modern history, and it'll be looked at hundreds of years from now as a barbaric dark age, in which we killed, I don't know, I've seen as high as 250 million people in the century because of these wars, famine, and revolution. And remember, the Chinese Communist Party came out of that. The Chinese Communist Party the party was formed out of that, right? It came to power because of that. It took over China with just a small group of gangsters in 1949 when it won the Civil War. So we have just nothing but tragedy ahead of us unless we start to focus on what the real problem is. And the real problem is the gangsters, the chief gangsters in Beijing. And if we allow them, and I think they get stronger every day, at least not internally, they have massive problems, which you can talk about. But I'm saying geopolitically right now, they have a compelling argument against the Judeo-Christian West and the Americans. And you see this playing out in India. That's why India is so critical here. South Korea just voted and changed government to come our way. The defense of Taiwan and the South China Sea are central. But India, which is a centerpiece, and I would actually argue the key that picks the lock in the Indo-Pacific strategy is, let's be honest, they're playing footsie with the Russians and the CCP. Tiger Yang just went there. And the reason is that they don't believe the West understands who the true villains are here, the CCP, and that the West is getting sucked into something in Ukraine and not acting in their overall vital national security interests. So no, this is an extraordinary dangerous time for the West. It's an extraordinary dangerous time for America. And it's principally an extraordinary dangerous time for the diaspora, the Chinese people that have been forced from their homes and their loved ones in the mainland, and have taken up residence everywhere, but continue this fight against this totalitarian dictatorship. The times could not be more dangerous right now.